So how does a guy who failed his college exams twice and knew literally nothing about computers end up building a $300 billion empire? Well, to figure that out, we are diving deep into the book, The House That Jack Ma Built, to uncover the secrets behind Alibaba and the man himself.
Forget about the money for a minute. This quote, this is the real Jack Ma. A guy who gets that success isn't about some flash of genius. It's about pure survival. It's about making it through those brutal nights when pretty much everyone else just gives up. This one idea, it's the key to his entire story.
And yeah, that brings us right to the heart of the mystery, doesn't it? This is not your typical Silicon Valley story about a brilliant coder. Now, this is about an English teacher who was terrible at math and had never even laid hands on a computer. So how on earth did he pull it off?
To answer that, we've got to go back to the beginning, way back. Because before he was a global icon, people knew him by a totally different name. A name they gave him because they thought his vision wasn't just ambitious, they thought it was completely nuts.
Picture this. He's in his tiny, cramped apartment with just a handful of friends, and he's already talking about building a company that will last 102 years and take on the giants in Silicon Valley. To almost everybody, it sounded delusional. So they called him Crazy Jack. And you know what? He wore it like a badge of honor.
So where does a vision that big even come from? Well, it wasn't from a place of privilege or some Ivy League education, that's for sure. Jack Ma's worldview wasn't born in a fancy boardroom. It was forged by years and years of being told no.
I mean, just look at this record. Most people would have quit. He failed his university entrance exam not once, but twice. His math score was so low, it's almost impressive in a weird way. He got rejected from dozens of jobs. But see, this isn't just a backstory. This was his training ground. Every single rejection taught him a lesson that success never could. How to get back up, again and again.
But here's the thing. While the world was busy rejecting him, he was busy reaching out to the world. He fell in love with English and would hang out at hotels just to practice with tourists for free. This letter to his Australian pen pal, it just shows a kid who was absolutely hungry for connection, long before the internet was even a thing in China.
And then came the moment that changed absolutely everything. It's 1995. He's on his first trip to the US, and he uses a computer for the very first time. He types in the word beer. He sees results from America, from Germany, but from China? Nothing. Zero. And in that empty search result, he didn't see a void. He saw the biggest opportunity of his life.
So when he finally got his chance, you think Crazy Jack played by the rules? No way. He made up his own. He came at business not like a CEO, but more like a kung fu master, creating this unique philosophy to turn his small size into his greatest weapon. Now this right here, this was totally revolutionary. At a time when everyone was obsessed with shareholder value, Jack just flipped the whole pyramid upside down. He said, look, take care of your customers, especially the little guys, the shrimp, and they'll take care of you. Then take care of your employees, because they're the ones taking care of the customers. The shareholders? They'll be just fine if the first two are happy. He actually called it his religion.
And he turned that religion into a system, something called the six-vein spirit sword. These 6 values, which were actually inspired by his favorite martial arts novels, became the literal operating system for the company. And these weren't just suggestions on a poster. At Alibaba, how well you live these values makes up a full 50% of your performance review. Culture wasn't just a department, it was the whole business.
I mean, take embrace change. At Alibaba, they'll frequently move people into completely new roles, even if they're totally crushing it in their current job. The whole point is to stop people from getting comfortable and force them to constantly adapt. It's a pretty radical idea, right? To treat your company like a living thing, not some static machine.
So now you have this unconventional army, right? Armed with this crazy kung fu philosophy. And they were about to face their ultimate test, because the undisputed global champion of e-commerce was coming to China. And nobody, and I mean nobody, thought Jack Ma stood a chance.
When eBay came to China, everyone thought it was a done deal. They were the elephant. Alibaba's new site, Taobao, was just a tiny colony of ants. But the ants had a secret weapon. They actually understood their home turf. While eBay was charging sellers fees for every listing, Taobao was completely free. And that one decision, free versus fees, showed the huge difference in how they thought about the world.
See, Jack approached this whole thing like a martial arts master. He didn't just rush in. He studied his opponent, he prepared in secret, and he only made his move when he was absolutely sure he could win.
He framed this as a David versus Goliath battle, and he made sure every single person on his team felt that way too. And here's the kicker. eBay's greatest strength, its massive size, became its greatest weakness. Since all their servers and decision-makers were in the US, get this, making a simple change to their Chinese website could take 9 weeks. 9 weeks! Taobao could adapt to what local customers wanted in a matter of hours. The elephant was powerful, sure, but it was just way too slow to fight the ants on their own turf.
So what was the result? It took just 2 years. In 2 years, the global titan eBay was basically forced to pack up and leave the Chinese market. The ants had defeated the elephant.
But look, beating eBay wasn't just a win for the company, it was a massive turning point. By proving that a local company could win against a global giant, Jack Ma didn't just build an empire, he helped change the future of his entire country.
For decades, China's whole story was about being the world's factory, made in China. Alibaba helped unleash the incredible power of China's own consumers. It gave hundreds of millions of people in the rising middle class a way to buy and sell and be part of the economy like they never could before.
And just like that, the crazy English teacher from Hangzhou became a global icon. He wasn't just a CEO anymore. He was the face of the new China, sharing stages with presidents, movie stars, basically all the most powerful people in the world.
But for a guy like Jack, building a massive company was never the final goal. Today, his ambition is even bigger. He's turned his focus away from e-commerce and toward China's biggest problems, the environment, healthcare, and education. He calls his new mission the 2 H's, improving the health and happiness of his country.
Which brings us to our final, and maybe the most important lesson from the house that Jack Ma built. It's a really simple idea, but it's the foundation for everything he's ever done. Get this. During that brutal, intense battle with eBay, to keep his small team of engineers energized and creative, Jack had them do handstands. Why? He said that when he was a kid, looking at the world upside down gave him a completely new perspective. And this one quirky little habit, it perfectly captures his entire philosophy. Real breakthroughs don't come from following the crowd. They come from looking at things differently.
From failing his exams to beating eBay, Jack Ma's entire life proves one thing. Success isn't really about having all the right answers. It's about having the courage to look at the world from a different angle. So the real question this leaves us with isn't just about him. It's about you. What does your world look like upside down?